How's it going, everybody? Jackson Fuller here with the Star News, and I'm happy to be joined today by Ashley girls basketball coach Adrienne Galle. This is the latest episode of Zoom Time. Adrienne, thank you for joining me. How are you doing today? How have you been holding up during the coronavirus pandemic and this quarantine that the entire country has kind of faced recent months?
Not too bad, but before we get started, Jackson, if you don't mind, we can talk about what's been going on here, Zoom in, but I would like to have a moment of silence with you for George Floyd and all those others who lost their lives due to police brutality, if you don't mind doing that.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's do that. I actually wanted to ask a couple questions about the ongoing situation for you and other coaches. But let's do that. Let's have a moment of silence right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. I appreciate that, Coach Gale. So yeah, so how have you been during the coronavirus time? What's kind of been keeping you busy right now without basketball workouts going on?
Well, great grades right now since they were due and posted yesterday. So getting that all taken care of. And, it's a different type of learning, even for us teachers, especially us PE teachers. We don't really do a lot of virtual stuff, within the classroom. We're hands-on and around everybody. So, it's been a learning stretch to try to get this started and teaching virtually. But, it's fun to kind of learn something new and, figure things out. You miss, of course, the just being around the students and your teachers and everybody, your players, just being able to interact with them on a daily basis. And now, we only had as a team one Zoom meeting, just because they were busy with their schoolwork and I didn't want to interrupt them with doing that, of course. And then some of them are working and taking advantage of that. But overall good. It's just different. You just have to get adjusted and used to the different style of life right now. It's not really what I like. I like to be out and about and be around people and, be playing basketball or coaching basketball or whatever. But, we just have to take it day by day and just listen to, what we were told to do so we can be back to normal soon.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you mentioned we had the moment of silence today for George Floyd, and I think it's everywhere you look right now. The world is kind of reacting to the horrible event that happened in Minnesota last week. As a high school coach, high school sports are in a lot of ways as diverse as a community can be. You've got people and kids from all different backgrounds of life with one common goal of playing the sport together. What do you think is the biggest responsibility as a high school coach when you return? And this is kind of a tipping point, I think, in our country. We haven't really seen a reaction like this, at least in recent years. What do you think? What do you feel like your biggest responsibility will be when you talk to your kids about the recent events?
Just let them know that I'm here for them. I support them and their feelings and what's they're going through and how they feel about the situation, and that I'm here for them anytime that they would like to talk about anything. I'm always here to listen and help and try to have a better understanding of what's going on and make them have a better understanding and just be there for them. I mean, and understand that I support them and I'm willing to be by their side with everything.
Talking and listening, it sounds like something you do every day, and it is, but it's something that in times of crisis like these we need a lot more of across the country. So have you been planning any social distancing workouts yet, or are you kind of still in a wait and see mode before maybe the dead period expires in hopefully a couple weeks?
Yeah, well, with the state dead period through the end of exams, there's really nothing we can do right now. Just like even if we were in school, so right now we're just kind of waiting to see what I guess the state and the county is going to allow us to do. I know that we have a staff coaches meeting with Coach Lewis, our AD, next Thursday, and maybe we will have a little bit more information. I know things are going to be different. From what I'm kind of hearing and seeing, when people are starting to have workouts again, if it's not within the school, just kind of out on their own and with other organizations, is, you know, a lot of individual workouts, no contact. You know, we don't know what the school, since we're school associated, if, you know, we're going to have to take temperatures or wear masks, you know, all that kind of stuff has to be decided, I would imagine, before we're allowed on the court with the kids.
Yeah. And I know for those watching, the NCHSA had a press conference last week, and in that press conference, they said the dead period right now is set to expire June 15th. They hope to get guidelines to schools at least a week before. So hypothetically, we could have those guidelines next week of what practice and workouts might look like. In other relatively big Ashley girls basketball news, you had Saniya Rivers, the number 3 recruit in the country for the class of 2021, commit to South Carolina on Saturday. Adrienne, first off, just how happy are you for her to have that decision behind her? And good gosh, she's going to a pretty dang good women's basketball program, isn't she?
I mean, look at the smile, right? You know, that says it all. I mean, you know, I can't be more happy for her. You know, who Sanaya is she's a people person and a relationship person, besides being one of the best players in the country. So, you know, she did it her way. She took her time. Her and her family, you know, had conversations about it. And, you know, when she felt that she was ready to do it, she did it, you know. So I am just so happy for her. I know that she is so happy, that, you know, that she feels like she chose the right school for her. I mean, you know, she's going to the number 1 ranked team in the country. You know, I know she's ready to get out there with them and help them win a national championship. You know, so we are all.
She wants to win 4 national. She told me she wants to win 4 national.
4, is that what she said? Okay. We'll put her up to that. I think she could do that. So yeah, we are just so happy for her. You know, she kind of let me know what she was doing a couple of weeks ago, and had to kind of keep it on the down low. And then she told the girls right before it was released on Saturday, and they were excited. You know, for her when she said that. So, you know, I'm just, you know, just so happy for her.
From talking to Sanaya, not only after she committed, but even just the past 3 years, I could kind of tell that she didn't love the recruiting process. You know, some people really get into it and love all the attention and the pressure of having to make a decision. I got the sense that she wasn't, you know, she enjoyed, you know, having the choice, because of course you want the pick of the litter as an athlete of where to go to school, but it was kind of wearing on her. Is that just kind of who she is? She just wants to play ball, it feels like, a lot of the times. I know she enjoys talking to me when I interview her after game, but she really, the time of her life is playing ball, and nothing else really matters after that. Is that just the type of person that she is?
Well, I mean, you know, she does have a huge heart, and I do think other things matter. Relationships matter with her. Her education does matter. Basketball is probably, and her family, you know, are the number 1 things. And you know, again, she narrowed it down to those 12 in the beginning of our school year, and everybody came on campus to see her play, whether it was during a workout or games or both. You know, and, you know, I think she liked it, but like you said, it's hard. You know, she had a lot of pressure. Everybody loved her and wanted her. So, you know, it was a lot for her. I do know that. I know that, you know, it was constant communication. And she's like I said, you know, she loves relationships, and getting to know all the coaches, let alone the head coaches, but even the assistants and all that, and the players on the teams and everything, you know, was great. But also, you know, she knew that eventually she would have to let some people down. And I knew that was tough for her. And, you know, I think with, you know, the coronavirus and not being able to get to some campuses and do all that, it kind of, you know, maybe stopped the process a little bit sooner than maybe she wanted to. But overall, I know that she's extremely happy with her decision.
Awesome. And so, of course, for 2 years, Adrienne, while she was at Laney, you coached against her. When you're coaching against Sanya Rivers, what's the biggest focus? What is the one thing you feel like, if you can point to one thing, because I know she does so many things well, what's your biggest focus in trying to stop Saniya Rivers when you're going against her?
Well, luckily I don't have to worry about that anymore. Because I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy. It was definitely a tough challenge. Basically is just try to slow her down, in whatever way and how you can do that. Even like this year, there's been times where we've seen double and triple teams of trying just to get the ball out of her hands. I mean, the less she can touch the ball, the less damage that she can do. Because she's a great passer. She's a great shooter, scorer in every way. Threes, hitting mid-range jump shots, getting attack in the basket. So, anytime that and of course, finding her teammates. So anytime that she has the ball in her hand, it's dangerous. So if you can maybe, and I'm not going to try to tell people how to guard her because I don't want people to guard her next year,
Okay. That's fair.
You can't stop her. That's the bottom line. If you can try to slow her down a little bit, try, but other than that, it's a tough challenge to do.
Absolutely. It's interesting watching the rival coaches, Bubakar and this year, Coach Birding at Laney, just they put so much into trying to stop her. And then at the end of the day, it's like they're happy with their effort, but they know it's just like a wave that you can't stop. Eventually, she's going to find a way to put her fingerprints all over the game. Of course, the Ashley girls basketball program is more than just Sanaya Rivers. How happy were you for girls like Bryn and Lexi and Reagan this year to get this taste of winning that I know you've had in the past, but a lot of the girls that were a part of this team really hadn't had that taste of winning and titles and championships until this year?
I'm so happy. It means the world to me for them. Because like you said, I think it's hard sometimes. Like Bryn understands the tradition of Ashley High School because her sister played for me. And so does Lauren Craig. Her sister did too and won a conference championship. So, and so did Bryn's sister Braylon, So with them, I think they kind of get it. They were young, they were little, watching their older sister play and understood it. But, ever since they were freshmen on varsity, we weren't the team to beat. So for them to flip the role and understand what it's like. I mean, our locker rooms were just ecstatic every game that we won, we were acting like it was our, championship game. So, and the morale of the team and, they're, it's just, you see the glow on their face and the smile on all their faces. It just makes you happy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cause I know Sanaya was obviously a big part of it, but there were moments where she needed help, and the role players, they stepped up and they rose to the occasion. And that's what makes basketball such an incredible sport. You have to have the star players on every team, but you can't win real big titles and win big without every girl on the roster. So, if you don't mind, what is it about Ashley? I know, we kind of have reached this point now where there was, I think, you, Coach Stewart, and Coach Adams, who had been there for so long. Obviously, Coach Stewart and Coach Adams have moved on, but it feels like there's a lot of, when you get there and get to Ashley, there's not too much turnover, and it's a school a lot of coaches come to and stay for a while.
I can't really speak for anybody. All I know is that, it's been an amazing experience being able to, build a program from scratch with a brand new school and building, and the excitement that, we had when the school opened, throughout our 19 years. This year we're entering our 20th year. That we've been open. So that's going to be pretty neat, especially with all the seniors I have graduating this year. I think we have about 8 of them on the varsity team. Wow. So, yeah, so that's going to be, fun and special year for them. It's about trying to build, I think, tradition and just trying to, get Ashley noticed like the other schools in town and give a good rapport and understand that, we are a great school academically and athletically, and just, try to have people understand. I know when we first started with opening, and everybody, they thought that was my first name, Ashley. They didn't realize that school that I taught at, coached at.
Mhm.
So, we were so young and new. But we've had so much success with all the sports, especially, baseball, girls basketball, and softball, at Ashley, to kind of build the school tradition and programs up.
Mhm. When you think about next year, I know Sanaya is so good at a lot of things already. When you think about getting her in a gym and working out with her, what's kind of the next steps of her game that you'd like to see developed before she, plays her senior season and goes off to play for South Carolina?
I'm always a defensive minded coach. So my thing is always focusing on defense. We all know what she can do with the ball offensively. You know, I want her to, I told her to, besides being the best offensive player in the country, I want you to be the best defensive player in the country too. And some of that is, just her want and knack for the ball, but also being able to put yourself in a great position. I thought she did a great job this year of not getting into foul trouble, where I saw that in the past. And that was something that I tried to, in previous years, if she's not on the court, she can't hurt you, to exploit her. But she has definitely grown up and matured in a way where, she's disciplined not to make silly fouls and everything. So, I think defense and leadership, sometimes she has gets down on herself a little bit because she cares so much. She cares so much for her team and wants them to do well, and herself, and wants herself to do well. She gets down on herself a little bit. So, I think that, what I want to try to do and help her out this year is to develop her into being a great leader, and don't be so hard on herself. And I know that's hard because she's, got such a great personality. But those are the two things that I think that we'll focus on a lot this year.
Great. And you mentioned your defense. It was probably the most consistently impressive thing about Ashley this season, going to games. Is that your style? If you've got the players that you want, which it's hard for a high school coach to cherry pick and get their players that you want, but if all things considered, are you the type of coach that wants to full court press and trap and do that on a regular basis? Or was this just something that presented itself this year with the presence of Sanaya and Mia?
Yeah, when you have two players like that with their length, you got to be able to put pressure on the ball and make people make mistakes and capitalize on them. Yes, I'd love to full court press. If we could do it all game long, I would. Not in a sense of being ugly, but just because I think you can generate a lot of offense from that. So I love defense. That was kind of my forte. Wasn't really the best scorer, but I was always in your face and, got after it on the defensive end. And, I think defense wins championships. I think, you got to be able to make some stops. And we love to put pressure on the ball. I think the knack of having a true point guard, there's not that many of them around. So when you can put pressure on the ball, again, it's going to generate offensive possessions for you.
Absolutely. All right, Adrienne, last question for you. I always try and ask a fun one before we leave. So, although I don't know how fun this one is, but if you could have any sport with the snap of your fingers on your TV right now, let's exclude high school sports, but March Madness, either the men or women's side, the NBA playoffs. I don't know if you're a golf fan. What would be the one sport that you'd love to snap your fingers and it'd be back in your life on TV right now?
I mean, well, my favorite thing, of course, to watch is March Madness. I mean, the men's and women's. That would be. That would be ideal. I'm also a football girl. I love football. I mean, that's what makes I think what part of the fall so fun is football. So, I would say if those two things could happen, that would be great. I've been kind of saying, I wish that we could get the WNBA up and running. What a good time for people to see women's basketball you know, professionally and promote that if that was an opportunity. And of course, safety, you know, is your main concern. But if that could, and this is the month where it would be starting, you know, I think Memorial Day weekend is usually their kickoff. So, you know, if we had that during the summer, you know, that would be awesome.
It would be great exposure for sure. It feels like we're about to head to a point this fall where there's maybe too many sports going on because everyone's trying to get their seasons in. But after the past 3 months, I'm not going to complain at all about too many sports. I will gladly be at every high school event I can get to and watching every professional event on TV. So, Adrienne, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the discussion about George Floyd at the beginning and the moment of silence. Hope you're doing well and can't wait to see you at a sporting event, hopefully in a not so distant future.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.